mobility, flow, and balance. And that's what we're doing today. So you'll need your chair. Even though you see my ball around, that's just decoration. We're not using it. But before we get started, I wanted to just revisit the little show and tell of my plant. It is absolutely just loving the light here, and it has all of that new little growth up in there. So every other day, I give it. I don't have one of those bottles that you kind of spray the leaves, but I give it a little drink and I talk to it lovingly. So it is thriving in its environment. You will need a book for your book balance work, and I'm going to just bring you right into your space. Take a deep breath. Let's get connected with our parts. Nice full inhale. Just reaching your arms up, trying to get your extension and inhaling may trigger something uncomfortable. So you're going to do a couple of them just to evaluate how are your parts. Do you need to just be raising one arm, right? Can you just stretch up as if you have handles hanging from the ceiling that you're trying to reach? Now, if you have an arm that doesn't like the extension, then keep it out of the equation and just do the movement with one arm. But our arms are up. And what I want you to do is I want you to reach up like you're pulling whatever it is that's something fabulous for you, right? I generally say pulling money from the money tree, but not everybody's motivated by money, right? So maybe it's a very lovely piece of fruit that's tempting you. Either way, as you go up, the other arm kind of slides down and you should feel the stretch coming through the waistline. If your arm isn't up, then just put them across your chest and just let your body take a little tip side to side, right? So here we go. Your buns are tight. You're reaching. Do you need to keep looking forward, or can you let your chin follow the arm reach? Buns are tight, so it's okay that our hips are kind of sliding side to side. This is me sneaking part of your IT band stretches in. Okay. So ordinarily when we go into IT band stretch, I have you cross the leg and we do static hold, but we're not in static hold. We're just floating through this space. Right. And as the hips push off center, it should without a doubt feel like across the top of the hip, maybe even traveling around the backside ever so slight, is getting treated. The arm action just helps you get one. When your arm comes up, is it hooking over your head, or are you able to get this nice straight line, right? Versus this with the arm. I see this a lot, right? Push, squeeze 5, 4, 3, 2, release, relax. And now we're going to go into cat back, sway back from our standing position. I've turned to the side because it allows me to reference the screen and keep my head in the position that it's supposed to be in. So if you're facing forward and you're looking like this, that'll be okay for half of the move, but essentially you're going to draw your chin to your chest. You're hollowing out the middle as if there's a harness pulling your middle body towards the ceiling. Keep your legs bent, and then they bend more as you shift the tailbone back and you elongate through the neck. How do we get our shoulders gliding out of the ears? Let's go ahead and start that. Pull the shoulders away from the jawline, and then you round. In this rounded position, you don't have to stay hand supported on the thighs. If it feels good to you to roll down, you can pull yourself back up, settle yourself into S curve, right? Shoulders out of the ears, raise the jawline. If your shoulders stay pulled up into the ears, then when you go to pick your head up, your neck doesn't have that, like everything is like locked up into there. So teach yourself, this is a repeating theme. It doesn't matter if we're in low impact and toning, if we're in our just regular full body stretch out, or doing this, which is mobility, flow, and balance, right? There's always going to be the repeating aspect of me saying, get your shoulders out of your ears, suck your belly button in. In S curve, you're stretching the front line and you're actively pulling the navel in. And then you keep pulling the navel in as you float into C curve. And now from C curve, just let the legs straighten and take your first full stretch down to the floor. If you're unable to get your hands to touch the floor, then you're just going to keep your hands on your thighs. And there may be something that's a little lost here with this side view that I'm giving you, but I'm actually just letting my hips sweep side to side. Okay, so I've got straight legs. I'm going to go ahead and let my hands rest on the floor. And now you're going to slow your body hip rock, and you're going to try to take your arms and trace them around you. I assume a lot by saying hands are on the floor. If your hamstrings are so tight that you can't get your hands to the floor, then you need to soften your knees, because that will help you protect your back. If your hands are on the floor, then it should feel pretty good to have your legs straight. Take it to one side. The side that your arms and your body is leaning to, I want you to keep that leg straight and bend the other leg. And now let's put both hands on that straight leg. Get it off the knee. You're either below the knee, right? Just pressing into the shin, or you're above it, but you're not pushing on your knee. So that's your straight leg, right? Re-straighten the other leg. Gently, the back sweeps towards the other foot. Get supported, whether you're on hands to floor or hands to shin, or one hand on the shin and one on the thigh. And you're going to keep that leg straight that your hands are touching, and bend the other leg. It is a massive shift of a stretch when you go into that position. So it may be way too intense. Re-straighten the other leg, come back to the center. Bend both legs nice and deep into a squat. And you'll find if your body's hung up in a squat, then try separating your feet further. And you just keep going out as wide as you need to till you feel like you can find that depth, right? Because you're going to take your hands from the floor, you're going to lower your fanny, you're going to try to shove an elbow in between the knees. Your elbows are going to pry those knees open. Say hello to your inner thighs. Push up, slow up, roll. That's pretty intense. We normally start in our chair. So you just did a little bit more than you normally do for this. Can you pick a leg? Shifting gears into your little rock step, right? Mobility, flow, and balance. I've already started by me just changing directions. I started something and you might not have even noticed it, okay? What I want you to do is take 2 complete steps. I consider the step to be complete on the back end, okay? So you're going to be doing a quarter turn. If you're working with your right leg stepping forward, which if you're mirroring me, this would be your left leg, okay? You are going to change direction. a quarter turn. Get ready. Change direction, a quarter turn. You should only be able to really rotate one way comfortably. Change direction, quarter turn. Rock. Do one more, and you're going to square back up to the front with me, right? Forward step, rock into it, push. One more, not rotation, just one more of these, and that completes it. Other leg. Step one, it's completed on the end. Step two, get ready to quarter turn. Swivel, step in, pull back is one. Do one more. Step in, get ready, quarter turn. All right. Why are we doing this? Because we should be able to change the direction that our body's moving just like that and still be in control. This is part of your balance work. Complete it back to the front, right? Swivel. What happens? You're on toes and heels, the knees, like everything is coordinated. This completes it, and relax. Good. Now we're going to get into that. So we already did our little, we started doing this, right? And now we're going to take it into a bigger movement. So if you will imagine that you have a V painted on the floor, right? The opposite foot draws across, pull back. Opposite leg draws across, pull back. Start bending the front leg. The back leg needs to stay straight, pull back. What I want you to try to not do is turn your body as you're stepping across. So you're going to try to keep your hips square, step the leg across, soften the knee, pull back. Here's your dance, right? The opposite arm to the forward stepping leg reaches, pull back, right? Pull back. Now, when you step forward, if you step too far forward, then your trailing heel will want to come off the floor and it'll be like you're front loading, right? That front leg. But really the stretch happens when you anchor the trailing leg and you square the hips and you drive the stretch. Pull back. Again, you pause, soften the front knee, drive the back foot firm to the floor, square the hips and shoulder line, add the arm. Can you add both arms now? Take it across. If you need to shorten the step, right? So that you feel like you're really in control and can lean the hips in one direction and drive the arms in the other. And here's where you're going to stay. Come out of it. Push into it. Come out of it, belly to spine, push. And now we're going to look the direction that our arms are driving. Reach. Can you not only look the direction that your arms are driving, but turn your hands so the hands are palms towards one another, right? Pull out of it. Again, drive the arms. Where are you driving your arms? Pull them back. Reach them. Release. Come out of it. Switch legs. You're going to keep your leg and you're just going to allow the front knee to bend so that you can drive the hip. Take that arm, let it go up if it will. If the arm doesn't go up, then maybe you just push the elbow. If that's still too much, then you just get the forward drive by softening the knee, but you want to square the hips. Include the second arm if you can. Pull back, inhale. Push, 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 push. The rear heel is fully loaded. The rear butt cheek is tight. Pull back. There's more. When you tighten up the rear butt cheek, pull your middle body back. This is the nuance, right? With this front leg bending, sometimes the body presses too far forward, but you want to pull it back. pelvic tilt, square the hips, look at where the hands are going, turn the hands into each other like you're holding a sphere, pull back, do one more. This is really intense because we're taking our limb just by you crossing the leg. The stretch is there. And now we're thrusting the hips, which increases the stretch line, and you're shifting the upper body so that you've got tension on both ends of the stretch. And that's what makes it intense. So as you come out of it, be kind and gentle. You may feel all across your lumbar. You haven't done anything wrong. That's just what happens when you go to end range full extension work. Walk around your space. I want you to get yourself back into your rock step. Okay, so instead of doing 2 repetitions and then turning, okay, we're going to break it down to 1 repetition at the next traveling back step, quarter turn. Quarter turn. What's required of your body is think and then take an immediate action. How do I quarter turn? Swivel the heel. When you step back, stop. Go to leg number 2. Just do a couple to get you back into your rock step. You're going to be rotating the other direction. Go now. Swivel, pick up the toes. You're pivoting on your heel. You rock back, pick up the toes on the front foot, turn into it. Rock back, pick up the toes on the front foot, turn. You've got to complete it again, right? Turn and release. All of this stuff is ankles, knees, feet, brain connecting with the feet, because that's not a dance step we just did. I didn't really prepare you telling you that we were going to use our change, but if you have your change, can you go grab it? If you don't have change, but you have, like, often, people use those little stones in their flower arrangements, right? If you marbles, anything. I keep my change handy. It's always ready to go. And not only that, I actually have 2 bags of change. It's kind of funny, right? So depending on whether or not I'm running out with my bag that's got all my gear in it, I keep the essentials. This is funny, right? Chapstick, lip gloss, a mask, and change. It's all very sanitary, right? Not. Anywho, hopefully you don't have to scrounge around. That story was just to give you time to go get your change. 10 pieces. If you have more, don't worry about it. Just throw them on the floor. We haven't done our change stuff for a while, so we're going to do 2 things, okay? And one of the things is certainly going to be toe, picking it up with the toe. But what I want us to do is to get into another little hamstring stretch and coordinated thing. So step away from your change. I've just put mine in I don't know, maybe a foot by a foot space. I didn't cast it all over. So this is a move that we would ordinarily do in our low impact and toning class. You're going to step into single leg balance, and then you decide, are you able to pick this foot up to really make it single leg balance, or do you need to keep the foot on the floor? How much do you need to bend this leg to come down and pick up your change? Step back, switch feet. Step in, take a moment. Can you at least initiate into single leg balance, even if you can't stand there, right? And then if you need to put the toe down. Can you hinge down? This is your hamstring. If you can't get into hinge because the stretch is just way too much for you, then bend your leg so that it's like you're doing a little squat. You are alternating legs, and you're going to decide squat, keep the trailing foot on the floor if you need it. Try to keep your spine nice and long. I'm just moving in and out, right? Just make it gentle. And if the hamstring, the straight leg move is too much because it's so much more effort to balance with a two stiff legs and hip hinge beyond a comfortable stretch. Because at some point, even if you're able to get the forward range of motion, the most telling part of this movement is when you pick up your coin, are you still in control? So often we only have the ability to control one aspect of the movement, and I want you to focus on coming out of the position with just as much intention as you went into it. And that's my 10 pieces. Put it down again. And here's your evaluation for yourself. You're going to say, wow, yeah, we really haven't done that one for a while. And I was all over the place with that. And if that's you, no big deal. You just go get your chair and you keep your chair handy, or you get your stick, right? Something that's going to allow you. This next thing is not the same pattern with the leg. It's an alternating pattern, but it's what you've come to know. Using the toes to pick up the change. Do you pick up the change and then kind of set it off to the side back in your little bucket? Or are you able to get the piriformis stretch? I don't want to make it too hard for you, but yeah, I want you, if things are too easy, okay, let's start with that. If a movement is too easy, what happens is you kind of check out. You start going through the motions. And now I'm doing two very different things here that you, if you're focusing on yourself, that's great. You might not even be noticing what happened. But on one leg, I'm able to cross over and bend that leg, which actually facilitates the hip stretch. It's hard, right? And I can get the coin. On the other leg, I don't yet have the strength at that knee to be extra load and bending the leg. So I'm applying my hip hinge again. All of this is balance, right? And then you decide, what do you need to do for you? If there's no crossing the leg, then you're just picking the coin up and you're dropping it in a pile, right? You're only doing one set, so take your time, don't rush it. My niece let me know. So there was, I don't know, this is a couple of months ago. I did this one, and not I did it in class, and then I created my little Facebook thing where I put it on Facebook, not the class, but this move. I said this was something that I did in class today, and I put it on Facebook, and my niece got the biggest kick out of that because she then went to try to do it, and I tell you, I got a lot of funny comments on that one because people couldn't quite figure out what are you actually doing with the coins? Are they supposed to go between the toes? And I thought that was funny. It was very engaging. Release and relax. You're done with that. So I'm going to have to find ways to create challenges that essentially everybody can do. Because sometimes if the challenge is too hard, right, then, and sometimes things are challenging and they don't look like they should be, which this might be the next challenge. We have to try to support our body weight, right? Bend forward, soften your knees, bring it on down. So as soon as you can get yourself into flat palms, you're just going to push yourself out, squeeze your buns, bend your legs, walk yourself back. And as I talk you through a set of these, I'm also going to talk you into a modification that if this is something that is just not going to happen for you, then you're going to go sit in your chair and you're going to sit right on the front edge of your chair and you're going to squeeze your buns when you're sitting in your chair because we know right here we should be tight abs, right? Tight abs, tight buns. So if you're sitting in your chair, you're sitting with your good clean spine, and I want you to do this. If you're sitting in your chair, you're in your 90-degree bend because you're seated, and you're doing opposite arm to leg extension until we're done with this walkout. All right. So we're walking out. Pause. For those of you who have walked out with me, can you take your feet far enough apart? And can you roll the hips to the side? And then you need to take your hip line, pull the hip line forward so that your body really is in a nice, true, tight position. Raise the heels, swivel the feet. The feet are completely on side edge, and often the butt pushes back. You got to tug the hip line through because that's where your phenomenal abdominals are working. Come back to center, walk it back. Now, if you happen to be seated in your chair, I want you to just hold one leg up. Stay with me. So if you're doing the walkout, you're just in a little reprieve. If you're sitting in your chair, you're holding one leg up and both thighs are level with each other. And I want you to take one leg and just bend and extend it. And you're probably going to do that 5 to 10 times and then switch the other leg. If you're with me and you want to stay with me, then walk it out. Mobility, flow, and balance does not mean that it's not a workout. So I'm incorporating a little bit of a workout for your abs and your core, right? While we do these other things. Draw down on your elbows this time. Put your elbow directly under your shoulder. If your butt is piked up, level the spine. Look through the arms and the body for a second so you can make sure that your feet really are far enough apart to get on side edge. Once the feet roll to side edge, shoulders out of the ears, sweep the hips forward, and you'll feel your phenomenal abdominals fire up. Pike the heels, level the hips, roll the hips, sweep the hips through, come back to center, walk it back. Release and relax. Putting your mat down, we're going down to our back. Let's just make sure that as we come down, we get everything that we need. If you have a ball, get it. I'm making a big assumption that Peggy has traveled with her physio ball. I don't know that, and I doubt it. So I'm going to show you something on the ball. You'll need, I'm going to use my Eric's pad, but you will need a pillow if you don't have your Eric's pad. And if you don't have a ball, then you're just going to put your chair close to the end of your space, okay? And when I get into the next thing, I'll move my chair. So stretch out strap, Eric's pad, mat, and ball. Come down. We're not going to stay down because we didn't even do our book walk yet. So if you don't have your book handy, just know that when we get up, you'll be needing to get a book so that you can do your book walk. As you come down on your back, I'm just holding the backs of my thighs. And as I'm rocking from side to side, what's happening is that I get an arm that gets to be part of the bracing system. So my elbows are pulled in towards my ribs. And when my legs come off the midline, that arm just loads a little bit so that my back isn't working, my abs aren't working. It all just feels good. I saw a commercial again. This was on Instagram today instead of Facebook. And it was advertising, stop in the middle, extend your legs. It was advertising this gadget that I swear I'm going to buy. It's $150 and I haven't priced it yet. I almost on impulse bought it, but I thought, okay, I'm going to price it and see if I can find it anywhere else. And I'm taking you into what this little gadget helps you do. So you know how sometimes I have you laying and I just have you rocking your body side to side. I have you do it face down as well. Okay, so imagine here's the gadget. It's called a swing machine. And essentially, you put your the backs of your ankles on this motorized little holder, and the contraption rocks the legs, probably, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches, right? It just guides you. Your head is supported, but not on a moving object, and your hips are supported. So this gadget starts, and essentially it's to help stimulate the lymphatic system. Oh my gosh. So as them watching this infomercial, pull one knee to your chest, it's saying all to know your audience, right, Peggy? It was saying all of the things that made me just want to go, yes, I want one. Okay. So I'm going to check it out and give you guys, I'm going to give you guys the real breakdown on whether or not I think it's really a valuable tool. Bring the other leg in. So when I hear relaxation, decompression, lymphatic stimulation, all of those things just sparked an interest in me, because it's an action that my body naturally does, and I've been building it into our workouts before I ever started seeing infomercial for this gadget. Pull knees to the chest, bring your forehead right up into your knees, you're tucking your chin to help keep your neck from being strained, right? So even though your head is heavy, with the chin drawn in, even if you can't touch your knees, don't worry about that. We need to make sure that our neck is strong. So now, gentle release. Okay. Feet down. Something we haven't done for a while is our bridge, right? So we're still not ready for the ball yet. I want you to put your feet a little bit wider. So when you pick up your head and you look down your side body, you should kind of see part of your foot. If you see all of your foot, then your feet are too wide, but you should be able to see some of the ankle bone. And importantly, we are not going to turn the toes out, right? So just let everything track true. And then, because your head is heavy, put the head back down, do your cervical spine retraction. All you have to do is draw your chin to your chest. Pull the belly in, squeeze the buns, peel the hips from the floor. All right, here's where the movement begins. Clasp your hands. Ready? Now, bring the arms down. Roll, picking up your head, tucking the chin like you're doing a crunch. Roll your body towards that shoulder. Pick a shoulder. If this is really hard, then you can't go any further. We're going to start a few of these to each side. Come back to the center, but don't set the hips down. Don't set the head down. Keep your chin tucked. You're rolling across to the other shoulder. Lift the hips. Now, when we come back to the center, completely relax. Relax the weight of the head. Okay, that was phase one. If phase one was hard enough, then you just carry on with phase one. If you're ready for phase two, reset. Hands clasped, draw everything down towards your middle. Here we go, picking up the head, but first tucking the chin, giving yourself your little bridge, roll to the side. This side is your loaded side, okay? So you're going to lift the hips and extend that leg. So it's opposite shoulder to foot support. Bring the foot down. Make sure that you pull it back where it started. Roll yourself over to the other side. Get far enough on your side because that's your leverager. Extend the leg, bridge the hip, squeeze the glute, rebend the leg, pull yourself back down to the middle. Everything releases. We want to do 2 more, and 4 is not a magic number, but it's our magic number for right now, okay? Because I don't want to overload you with this. Just having your head off the floor for an extended period of time does create neck strengthening. And if your head doesn't stay in the right position, then you might feel like you're straining. And that's why we're taking this reprieve between the repetitions. Interlace, draw it down, bridge the hips, gently pick up the head with you tucking your chin like you're trying to pull yourself into a little bit of a crunch, and then roll and decide, can you roll far enough to get that foot offloaded and reach the arms towards the foot. Bring the foot back, sweep it across, push the leg, reach the arms, bring it back to center. If you don't need to rest, go right back into leg number 1, leaning. And the interesting thing is that you might be like this little inchworm, right? That I'm practically off my mat now, rolling, 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 extension, reach the arm, reach the leg, bridge the hips, pull everything back, relax. So imagine that you have your swing machine. Extend your legs, extend your arms. Try not to let there be a big gap between the back of your neck and the floor. You may have to manually pick up your head, get the length to that neck, or put your pillow under you. The arms are extended with the palms up, and I just want you to rock the hips a little bit side to side. I can't wait. I'm gonna go online and I'm gonna see if there are any reviews for the swing machine and if there's anybody else selling them and to see what the going rate is. So stay tuned. But doesn't that just seem like that would be this awesome gadget that your body could just be rocked, right? And relax. Okay, bend your legs, roll to the side, push yourself up. We're pushing ourselves up because if you have a ball, you need to get it. And if you don't have a ball, then you're going to put your chair at the end of your space. The ball, well, so I want you to think Piriformis Stretch, okay? And the reason why the ball is such a great aid is so often the knees and the hips just kind of, they fight the stretch, and the ball just kind of makes it this nice, relaxed, where you're not using your upper body to fight the movement. So if you don't have a ball, then you've gotten yourself into essentially this position on your chair, which is you're fairly close to your chair so that the leg that's on the chair can kind of slide, right? Because if you're not wearing shoes, then you'll be able to push and pull that foot if you don't have a ball. Now, if your arms permit it, this is another aspect of just adding in upper body stretch while your leg is doing something. So you've got one foot crossed over the thigh of the other. You're drawing your ball to and away if you can. And if your shoulders allow you to just maybe overlap your hands, right? Put them behind your head. just having your hands behind your head or under your head should help you feel like your neck is in the right spot too. It becomes a huge stretch through the chest and the shoulders, and maybe that's too much for you. Hold the leg in. That's it. With this, the bottom, with the leg that's on the ball, that's just drawn the ball in, it is not to have your hips off the floor. You shouldn't be pushing down so hard into the ball or the chair for that matter, where your tailbone is picked up and rolled off the floor. I want you to settle your hip line heavily to the floor. And now I want you to feel, are you, um, is the hip area cocked to one side where you only feel one SI joint on the floor? Or if you even pick up your head and look at your knees, it will be very telling. If the high leg is collapsing and the body's all crooked, you can tell. Square the hips up. Square this support knee up so that your ankle, your knee, and your hip are all tracking. We often just lose this control of how to set the hips with making little adjustments to what the foot and the knee are doing. Now, release and relax, other side. This movement, so I'm going to let my ball go for a minute, right? This movement doesn't necessarily have to have a chair or a ball. What if you don't have any gadgets and you're like, I'm very familiar with the figure 4. Why can't I just do it like this? You absolutely can. And that just puts you in static hold. Okay. So if you're opting to not have any gadgets, this static hold stretch with your arms, in my humble opinion, is more intense than what's going to be created on the ball or the chair. But the element of your arms holding your legs also presents another, it's another, you have to factor in a whole nother level of control. Okay. And what I mean by that is, if when you reach your arms to grab your legs, your shoulders pull off the floor and your neck then gets that crimp in it, then you have to identify that that has happened. And now you have to be prepared to pull the shoulders out of the ears, get your arms around your chest mass, tuck your chin, and then you just end up using your arms in a way that's creating the leverage. So if you've been doing your little slideys, right, then you're going to stop. Sometimes one leg tucks down nice and far, right? If you're really limber, then this foot on this high leg can come down as tight as you can get it, right? You can change your stretch line. So I'm just going to pull the leg in. I'm holding my head up because I'm identifying, am I leaning to one side? Is this support leg collapsing? Because that's generally the way it'll go. You want to open it up to get flush on the hips, and you want to figure out, how do you not have one side of you drawn up? So level the hips out. And once you level the hips out, then you've got to control the foot on the ball. How do you keep your hip square and the foot tracking in line with the hip and the knee? And we hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, release and relax. Nice. Let your body sit up. You can get your other gadgets out of your way, and let's bring our pillow or your Eric's pad into the equation. We have not done this one for a very long time, This is a movement that I also use my foam roller. So I'm happy to show you a multitude of ways to do this. I think that this cushion just provides that trunk support. And so here's what we're doing. You're lengthening your spine. If you need to extend this back leg, we're going to hold a position. So you get your back leg wherever it's comfortable, okay? But before you like lay down on the pillow, you want your body opened and elongated. And this is where your hands kind of help, right? So you're keeping your trunk length, you're walking yourself out, you're going to turn your head, and then you're going to start lowering yourself to your pillow. If your pillow is too far away, then it's not going to provide support for your trunk. If your pillow is really a low profile pillow, it might not provide enough support. You're trying to rest your trunk on your pillow, and maybe your pillow is big enough, right? I can turn my pad and put my ear, the rest of my face on my pillow. Once you get supported, what do you do with your arms? You're going to just draw them back so there's no strain in the shoulder. This is where I find most people are really uncomfortable with the neck. Your neck right now through this rotation, if you're feeling like you're mashing your nose into the pillow, it's because your neck has lost some of its flexibility, and there's not much we can do about that except get you out of the position and have you turn your head the other way so it's comfortable. And after a few seconds, pick your head up and turn it back into the stretch. So you hold the stretch as long as you can if you're uncomfortable in your neck, and then you gently transition back and forth so that you keep trying to help your body with the proper stretch, right? If that makes sense. So while we're here, regardless of which way your head is turned, can you pull your shoulders away from your ears? And we're just going to hang out another few seconds. With the arms bent, have your hands come in towards your pillow. Can you pull your hands and your wrists away from each other so that they're in line with your elbow? Now, your arms help you. So you're going to let the elbow lift from the floor so that your hands can push with the elbow vertical. Just do your very best. Even something like this, where we're not using much of our body weight, but we're still pushing away from the floor, can present so much of a challenge for the shoulders. Swivel around to the other side. Just for the sake of show and tell, right? How would I use my foam roller for this? So consider this. You can see that my Airx pad, right, is about 2 inches lower than the foam roller. And as I suggested, that when you rotate yourself in towards your pillow, that if you don't have a high enough profile pillow, then you won't feel like you're able to keep your spine length. So this is what I do with my foam roller. If I don't have a pillow handy, depends on where I am, right? If I'm at the park and I've just finished playing pickleball, by all means, I take my foam roller and I've got my mat, and this is one of my stretches. Why? Because rotation movements and court sports are very taxing on the SI joints, right? So this is kind of an extended stretch for the QL and so many other things. But your trunk is long, you're supported. Turn your head away from the legs and gently guide yourself down. I will say that the foam roller is not as comfortable as a pillow. And because of this mic, I can't actually lay my head down. I don't want to kick the mic off. But I'm okay. So you guys just decide. I'm going to practice what I was telling you. I can turn my other ear to my phone, right? Pick up the head, turn the other ear. If your elbows are really heavily loaded, then you haven't released the tension so that whatever you're using as your support should be supporting you, right? So don't let those elbows brace you to the point where you can't relax, because all that does is transfer the tension up into your neck and your shoulders, and we don't want it there. So we have to find a way how to use the gadget to support us. Ready? Pull the hands back. You pull your hands back and you pull your shoulders out of your ears, right? And that's you're initiating from a strong place out of that stretch. And from here, the static QL stretch would be a good thing to do, right? So we're going to swivel the legs back the other direction so that we get side number 1 hit first from your static line. Stacking elbow and shoulder, pulling knees back, get into that nice tight line, zipping and tucking. It just started pouring down rain here. So I don't know if it's moving your way or not, Marlene. I don't know if you got it first and now we're getting it, but it is sunny and it's pouring. Rich is out washing the boat. That's funny. Zip and tuck, which is, there was a reason why I didn't go out this morning and try to do a class anything, was after having had my event yesterday of getting everything set up on the bow of the boat and then having it rain on me. I thought, okay, I'm not going to fall for that today. So does your stretch have to be intense? No. That's why I'm keeping you here. Hopefully you're already feeling something. And if you're just laying here and your body line is collapsed and you're just listening to me, then I'm going to give you some more direction. Use your depressor to prop yourself up, retract the shoulder blades, pull and engage your chin tuck so your neck gets in line with the rest of you. Start the zipping up so everything draws in towards the middle. Squeeze the buns, look down your body line, and if your knees are sitting forward of your hips, they are in the wrong spot. Push them back, and as soon as you push them back, because the QL is tight, if you're not in your pelvic tilt, you will be crimping your low back. That's why this is really important to master the modified position, because even in a modified position, you should feel like you're getting some treatment on the underside of the hip line. Not only that, it is isometrically loading your shoulder. So this is what I would consider to be joint stabilization training, because it's time under tension and fatigue should be setting in. So we're not going to go any further. We're going to offset the legs and switch sides. Ready? Other side. Okay, stacking your parts. Legs in 90 degrees. Elbow is giving you good support. Even something as seemingly, what's the right word? For anybody who has shoulder pain, one of these positions that you get in is that there's almost this fear that anytime you go to push, that you're going to be generating pain. That's really common. And our bodies this muscle memory thing, right? So we have to teach our body. It's like reinforcing good behavior, right? When you can put yourself in a position of control and strength and you don't have pain, that reinforces part of this body's knowingness about it. It's a strange thing. It's muscle memory. But if you have had pain, then often the body will automatically go into, like, you're almost ready for pain, and so anything you do causes you to kind of brace up in the wrong way. So if I can get you to r- really lock down by you driving your elbow into the floor with the elbow under the shoulder and you sliding the scapula down into depression and shoulder retraction and chin tuck and alignment and zipping and tucking. And if we can stay here and you can prove to yourself that you can brace and do strengthening movements that don't bring you pain, then we can start retraining your thoughts about what brings you pain. It's, gosh, I'm going to have to share with you guys this thing that I listened to this morning. So I'm still in modified movement. Hopefully, you're not totally bored. Hopefully, as you sit here and you may or may not feel anything, you start putting in your own checklist. Look at your legs. Look at how bent are your legs. How are you flexing your feet? Are you in full low body activation? Can you feel like your lumbar is like pinched up? Because if it is, guess what? Your chest is bowed out and your back is collapsed. Take all of this and tuck the ribs through and pull the hips through and brace yourself and release. Offset. Ooh, okay. I don't want to forget the little stretch out strap. I have no time. What time are we? My clock is like I'm trying to get better at not keeping you guys. Oh, this is going to have to be what we finish with, okay? So you guys, maybe you were in class last week when I told you that my my webcam may be malfunctioning because I've dropped it. I have a stretch out strap that has loops all on it. If you have a yoga strap, right, then you are able to create one loop. But with your yoga strap, could you also then just tie a little knot in one end so that the other end, so that it goes across your foot, right? And you'll actually need to knot it. I just did that with mine, right? Even though I didn't need to. And now, how long is your strap? Get your legs apart, pull the toes away from each other, push the thighs down into the floor, grab your strap. Oh, isn't that a useful thing? As soon as you grabbed your strap, you're not letting your legs pull in. You're having to keep the tension on your legs. And now sit up tall, draw the shoulders out of the ears, pull against your strap without letting the legs slide closer, and see if you can get your body into your forward stretch. Right? Maybe your hands are palms up because that helps you to draw the elbows into the middle. Keep lengthening, keep coming forward. Work the legs out as far as you can. Maybe you're able, after a few seconds, to do a little bit of an adjust. It feels good to me to have palms up and my hands reaching towards my feet, right? Because when I go to pull, I can work my arms right in towards the insides of the legs and kind of get down a little bit deeper. So often in our forward lean, we don't get anywhere because we don't have anything to pull onto. So this is a very you know, it's not the best thing. If we could loop the strap around a fixed object, we'd have more pulling power. But for right now, our legs are doing some of the job here. Release and relax. All right, take your time, roll yourself over. We're going to get into walking the dog. So right up into downward dog and just alternate heel to toe, right? Alternating foot, taking the weight. And here's the thing. Downward dog is actually really hard if you don't do it right. If your head is way forward, then your load on your hands is so much that it transfers up into your shoulders. So the thing is, to offload your shoulders, you push your head through the arms and you get your hips piked nice and high. And as soon as you transition to that position, you will feel more stretch, but less strain. And now feet apart, bend your legs as much as you need to, walk your hands back, get flat footed, roll yourself up. Take a deep breath in, release, relax. Namaste. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you next time.
No rain here.
So maybe it's coming your